This is Part 2, Episode 114. The rumor is that the entire demon spirit land was the cave of a celestial emperor. Could this place also have been created by the celestial emperor? Wang Lin pondered a bit and looked around. He no longer thought about this as he calmed himself and began to comprehend his domain. The life and death domain had already merged with his body before he entered the demon spirit land. Right now his heart was immersed in his domain. His left hand was death, his right hand was life, and between them was the river of eternity. Although he was immersed in his domain, Wang Lin's vigilance never dropped. He had a bit of his divine sense circling his body, so if Yao Shishue made any moves, he would be able to detect it right away. Wang Lin was very cunning, so he knew that if he could be this vigilant, Yao Shishue would naturally think the same way, meaning it was not a good time to act. While he was cultivating, the image of his life and death domain gradually appeared around him. As he continued to comprehend, he entered an ethereal state and everything around him appeared clearly in his mind. He could vaguely sense a mysterious power falling from the sky and gathering on the platform. This force quietly condensed around Yao Shishue and circled around her. Wang Lin's heart trembled as he immediately focused all his attention on the mysterious power. As the mysterious power circled Yao Shishue, it suddenly moved toward the spot between her eyebrows and condensed there. At this moment, a golden light came from between Yao Shishue's eyebrows. After 3 breaths of time, the golden light dissipated and she opened her eyes. There were golden symbols glowing in each of her pupils. Each of these symbols were composed of 3 strokes. Although they were complex, Wang Lin could somewhat understand them. Now that Yao Shishue's eyes contained the golden symbols, when Wang Lin looked at her, his heart trembled violently. It was like lightning had struck his mind and thunder roared in his heart. He had the same feeling he experienced back when he first met Tuo Senator. At this moment, it was as if Yao Shishue was no longer a late-stage soul transformation cultivator and had turned into an extremely powerful immortal that he couldn't possibly fight against. This feeling was very powerful. It was like powerful waves crashing against Wang Lin's soul. Not even the All-Seer could make Wang Lin's heart tremble like this. Wang Lin's heart trembled violently, but because his Dao heart was firm, he immediately noticed that something was off. What gave off this majesty wasn't Yao Shishue but the golden symbols in her eyes. Wang Lin took a deep breath to suppress the trembling in his heart. He no longer paid any attention to her and instead focused on comprehending his domain. He clearly remembered that she didn't have the symbols before, so it must have a big connection with the mysterious power that had just appeared. Yao Shishue's eyes opened for a moment before she closed them once more and returned to silently cultivating. Wang Lin immersed himself inside the life and death of the reincarnation cycle. Scenes from the past flashed through his mind. Learning about life and death, learning what is life, learning what is death, he opened the scroll of life and death, and finally the domain entered his body. All of this flowed through Wang Lin's heart. After an unknown amount of time, that mysterious power appeared on the platform once more. Yao Shishue suddenly opened her eyes. The golden light from her eyes was dazzling. She looked into the void with a normal expression. The mysterious power quickly appeared and began to circle Wang Lin. At this moment, Wang Lin's mind had reached a mysterious state. It was like he was dreaming. He felt like he had entered a world of hallucinations, as figures flashed by him one by one. He couldn't clearly see anything, but it also seemed like he could clearly see everything. This contradicting feeling made him feel discomfort. There was a low murmur of female or male voices that continued to buzz in his ears as if they were trying to tell him something. But when he tried to listen carefully, he found nothing. This feeling lasted for a very long time, long enough for Wang Lin to forget the concept of time. The sound next to his ears gradually became louder and the figures before him slowly became clearer. Just as everything was about to become clear before his eyes, it all suddenly turned into an illusion and silently began to dissipate. At this moment, Wang Lin seized the opportunity right when everything was at this state of becoming clear and about to dissipate. His eyes lit up and the only life seal from the celestial slaughter art immediately condensed on his forehead. "My name is Qing Lin," a clear voice instantly appeared next to his ears, but this voice only lasted for a moment before vanishing. Wang Lin seized the right opportunity. If he had used the life seal too early, he would never have heard this voice. He was only able to hear this because he had used the life seal right at the moment. Instead of looking, he chose to listen because a voice could convey more real information while sight was often obstructed by one's own thoughts. At the moment all of this disappeared, Wang Lin opened his eyes as if he had awakened from a dream. There was now a violent golden light shining from his eyes. The golden light lasted for 6 breaths of time before dissipating. At this moment, golden symbols appeared in his eyes. These symbols were made up of 6 strokes and looked extremely complicated. Yao Shishue's expression was ugly. She didn't think Wang Lin would obtain a 6-stroke symbol during his comprehension. At the moment Wang Lin opened his eyes, he looked at Yao Shishue and immediately found that although she still had the symbols, the powerful majesty that he couldn't resist no longer existed. For some reason, a feeling of looking down upon her appeared in his heart. This gaze from Wang Lin made Yao Shishue extremely uncomfortable, so she subconsciously looked away. She coldly said, "With the golden symbols, you can now walk on the revered dragon path. Let's go." With that, she stepped onto the dragon path and quickly moved ahead. Even she hadn't realized that the golden symbols in her eyes had dimmed when she looked at Wang Lin. It was as if a firefly had met the moon. Although both were bright, when compared to each other, the firefly was naturally dimmer. Wang Lin placed his hand before his eyes. When his eyes looked at his palm, a clear symbol was projected on it. What exactly is this golden symbol? Wang Lin pondered as he walked up to the revered dragon path and slowly walked forward. It was an endless, starry abyss below the dragon path. Although it was uncertain whether you would live or die if you fell, just the thought of falling was enough to scare people. The dragon road slowly moved left and right. If a mortal was on the path, they would be scared to death, but for cultivators, this had no effect on them. The two of them moved one after the other at an extremely quick speed as they followed the path into the distance. This path seemed to have no end. The two of them hadn't rested for 3 days, but the road before them continued to extend. Yao Shishue's expression was normal. She came here many times already, so she knew that they had only traveled 1/3 of the way there. Several days later, another giant platform appeared before the revered dragon path. There was an object standing on the platform. This object was a statue about 30 feet high, and it stood at the center of the platform. This statue was that of a human, but he had extremely large ears and arms. Yao Shishue stopped walking on the dragon path, looked back at Wang Lin not far behind her, and said, "This place is the first seal. The two of us will each break a layer. I'll break the first layer and you will break the second one." Wang Lin's expression was normal as he calmly said, "Okay." Yao Shishue didn't waste any more words. She jumped into the air and charged onto the platform like lightning. At the moment her body landed on the platform, a golden light automatically released from her eyes. This golden light contained the golden symbols, and it landed on the platform along with her. The statue trembled and white gas came out from it. Then it suddenly opened its eyes, revealing a ruthless gaze. It raised its feet and took a step that caused the entire platform to tremble. A thick killing intent immediately spread out with that step. Yao Shishue floated in the air. She has dealt with this statue several times now, so she was very familiar with it. She touched her bag of holding with her right hand and took out a piece of jade. This jade was blood red in color and was clearly different from a normal jade. Seal. With one word, Yao Shishue threw out the jade. The jade shattered in the air and turned into a dense, blood-colored light that covered the statue in a flash. The blood-colored light surrounded the statue, making it look like a blood-colored cloth had been thrown over it and imprisoned it. No matter how hard it struggled, it couldn't break through the blood seal. Yao Shishue's beautiful figure slowly landed on the ground. She turned around to look at Wang Lin before turning toward the other end of the platform. There was another revered dragon path at the other side of the platform. Wang Lin's pupils shrank. The cultivation of this statue wasn't any weaker than an early-stage soul transformation cultivator. Although it lacked intelligence, the power of that step was very strong. If one allowed it to use a spell or move freely, it definitely wouldn't be easy to deal with. However, a few moments ago, it was so easily sealed by Yao Shishue. This made Wang Lin have a completely new opinion about her. Wang Lin secretly thought that blood jade must have been refined by her father to have such power. He didn't show any of his thoughts on his face as he jumped onto the platform. At the moment he walked past the statue covered by the blood-colored light, he turned toward it and seemed to see a flash of golden light disappear. Wang Lin's expression didn't reveal anything as he stepped onto the next dragon path. When he stepped onto the path, he turned around to casually look at the statue, and at the moment he turned around, the life seal on his forehead condensed on his eyes. His gaze pierced through the blood-colored light and saw the flashing symbol on the statue. This symbol only had one stroke, and it was very clear. After clearly seeing the symbol, Wang Lin turned his head around. By the time he turned around, the life seal had already disappeared and his expression was completely neutral. Yao Shishue had already moved far off into the distance, and Wang Lin casually followed behind her. His mind was still thinking of that symbol he saw on the statue. That symbol was similar to the three-stroke symbol in Yao Shishue's eyes and to the golden symbol in his eyes. As Wang Lin walked, he raised his hand and his gaze fell on his palm. The six-stroke symbol appeared on his hand once more. This symbol is interesting, it seems to be the foundation. Whether it is Yao Shishue's three-stroke symbol or my six-stroke symbol, both contain this symbol. His eyes lit up and he waved his hand to draw that symbol. His finger contained celestial spiritual energy, but there was no reaction from the celestial spiritual energy in his body after he drew it. Wang Lin pondered a bit before memorizing the symbol and then no longer thought about it. His eyes revealed a mysterious light as he looked into the distance at Yao Shishue. She has the blood soul pill, so if I were to sneak attack her, she would just be able to revive. It would be difficult to kill her. 7 days later, another platform appeared at the end of the Revered Dragon Path. This platform was the same size as the previous one, and like the previous one, there was a statue at the center. Even the appearance of this statue was almost no different from the previous one. The only difference was that this statue had a half-closed third eye on its forehead. At the end of the path, Yao Shishue turned around to look at Wang Lin. Although she didn't speak, her intention was shown through her actions. Wang Lin wasn't one to drag his feet, and right now was not the time to turn on her, at least not until he learned everything about this place. He took one step and directly jumped over Yao Shishue, landing on the platform. The moment he landed on the platform, he closed his eyes. The life seal quickly appeared on his forehead and sealed his eyes shut. After doing all of this, he walked forward on the platform with the life seal sealing his eyes. This was an experiment for Wang Lin. He wanted to see if the golden symbol could pierce through the life seal. The golden symbol didn't penetrate it, but at the moment Wang Lin landed, the statue trembled. It opened its eyes and viciously gazed at Wang Lin before stepping toward him with a roar. The life seal immediately diffused from his eyes and covered his body. At the same time, Wang Lin took several steps back and circled around the statue like a coiling dragon. As the statue roared, it began chasing after Wang Lin. Wang Lin's expression remained normal as his hand moved in the air, creating a burst of green light, and a simple restriction appeared in his hand. As he moved, he threw the restriction backwards. The restriction immediately grew to be few dozen feet large and blocked the pursuing statue. The statue's body didn't stop at all and directly smashed into the restriction. The restriction shattered like a mirror and scattered in all directions. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he revealed a look of interest. Although the restriction he had just used was simple, it was incorporeal. Unless it encountered another restriction, that shouldn't have happened. That statue's entire body is probably covered in restrictions. Trying to break it by brute force shouldn't be the right method. Wang Lin's hand moved and rays of restrictions flew out of his hand and quickly closed in on the statue. The statue let out a roar as it jumped forward and threw a punch. The countless restrictions sent toward it all shattered, and a powerful force traveled through space toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin touched his bag of holding and took out the restriction flag. He shook the flag and the force coming toward him immediately entered the restriction flag and disappeared. Wang Lin's restriction flag had already reached 999 sets in these hundreds of years of him adding restrictions to it. However, what was strange to him was that divine retribution never arrived. These 999 sets of restrictions were all attack restrictions and were very powerful when used. However, as Wang Lin's cultivation level continued to increase, the power of the restriction flag was starting to become somewhat inadequate. Wang Lin was also thinking of ways to increase the restriction flag's power and increase the amount of restrictions to 9,999 sets. However, too many pure attack restrictions were required to increase the restrictions on the flag by 10-fold. Even with Wang Lin's knowledge, he didn't know that many restrictions. At this moment, a large amount of restrictions was flashing through his eyes. These restrictions continued to group and divide in his mind. His body was still moving very quickly, so the statue couldn't approach. Every time the statue was about to close in, Wang Lin would wave the restriction flag, causing large amounts of restriction gas to fly out, forming walls of restrictions to stop the statue. After the statue was blocked several times, it let out an earth-shattering roar and decided to stop chasing. It decided to stay in one place and stomp the ground. The entire platform trembled, and at the same time, stone spikes shot out from the ground right around Wang Lin. Wang Lin was already prepared for the statue's possible spells. He formed a seal and quickly dodged the spike coming from below him. However, the spike was like a bamboo shoot and came in layers one after another. In almost an instant, the entire platform was covered in spikes, and aside from the center, everywhere else on the platform was covered in spikes. Wang Lin's body flew into the sky and he floated in the air. The restriction deduction went even faster and his eyes never left the statue. His eyes suddenly lit up, and at this moment, the shape of the statue changed greatly in his eyes. In his eyes, it wasn't a stone statue at all but something composed entirely from restrictions. Countless restrictions stacked together to form this thing, and there was not a single place on it without a restriction. Just at the moment Wang Lin saw through the essence of the statue, all the spikes on the platform broke off at the roots from another stomp from the statue. They then flew into the air and shot at Wang Lin like a rain of spikes. With Wang Lin's cultivation, if he were to use magical treasures or one of the 3 killing spells to break the statue, it wouldn't have taken so much time. However, Wang Lin's goal wasn't to break through by force but completely understand it. In Wang Lin's eyes, those spikes that were flying towards him were also created by restrictions. As long as it was a restriction, he wasn't afraid of it at all. Wang Lin has been studying restrictions ever since he was at the core formation stage. Aside from those old monsters that have been alive for tens of thousands of years, normal people couldn't compare with Wang Lin at all in terms of his understanding of restrictions. His expression was neutral as he waved the restriction flag in his hand and restriction gas flew out. These restrictions moved in a mysterious pattern according to Wang Lin's command and swept through the incoming spikes. The countless spikes were immediately and mercilessly deconstructed and merged into the restriction flag. After the restriction flag absorbed those restrictions, it immediately increased in power. Wang Lin's eyes narrowed and immediately descended toward the platform. He pointed forward and the restrictions from the restriction flag charged out like a whirlwind and immediately trapped the statue inside. Before Wang Lin's body landed, he turned into a cloud of green smoke and moved along with the restrictions. He immediately started circling the statue as his hand quickly moved, creating new restrictions that fused into the whirlwind of restrictions. From a distance, the statue looked to be surrounded by countless restrictions. No matter how it struggled and roared, the restrictions continued circling it. The restrictions hammered at the statue and entered through any cracks on its body. Wang Lin suddenly stopped moving and shouted 4 times. Break! 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 These 4 shouts caused the countless restrictions around the statue to all immediately swarm it. At a speed visible to the naked eye, the statue continued to change like crazy and was constantly collapsing. This statue was originally created from restrictions, and as the restrictions were being destroyed, the statue's body shrank. Feeling a sense of danger, the statue let out a fierce roar and its third eye between its eyebrows immediately opened up, releasing a ray of golden light. With one flash, all of the restrictions Wang Lin had sent out were forced back and began to dissipate. Wang Lin's eyes revealed a mysterious light. At the moment the golden light appeared, he saw a golden symbol inside the statue's third eye. This symbol was created with 2 strokes. Seal. Wang Lin let out a roar and spat out some essence blood. Once the restrictions absorbed his blood, they immediately rushed forward and began to counter the golden light. After 2 breaths of time, the golden light in the statue's third eye dissipated, and at this moment, countless restrictions swarmed the statue. Its body trembled as the ruthless gaze disappeared from its eyes and was replaced with bleak grayness. Shortly after, its body collapsed, and as it collapsed, countless restrictions came out and rushed out in all directions. In an instant, black restriction gas covered the entire platform. Inside this black fog there was a flashing, golden symbol that was about to disappear into the void. At this moment, Wang Lin suddenly felt something in his heart, so he subconsciously raised his right index finger and drew 1 stroke. This stroke created the symbol that he saw sealed inside the first statue. After finishing the first stroke, Wang Lin didn't stop and immediately drew the second stroke. This created the golden symbol Wang Lin just saw inside the statue's third eye. The moment the symbol appeared, the symbol that flew out from the statue and was about to leave quickly turned around and flew toward Wang Lin. It moved faster than lightning and fused with the symbol Wang Lin just drew. Wang Lin's eyes revealed a mysterious light. His index finger didn't stop and once more drew another stroke. After he finished this stroke, it created the 3-stroke symbol that was in Yao Shishue's eyes. All of this happened extremely fast. Yao Shishue was still stunned when the 3-stroke symbol was completed. At the moment the symbol was completed, the celestial spiritual energy inside Wang Lin's body moved on its own and entered the symbol through his finger. If one just looked at the 3-stroke symbol, they would think there was nothing unusual about it, but now that Wang Lin had drawn it stroke by stroke, he felt a sense of perfection from it as if it was some imprint from the heavens. Waves of golden light came from the symbol and lit up the surroundings. The black gas surrounding the platform slowly disappeared under this golden light. Yao Shishue revealed an extremely complex and shocking expression. She had been here several times before, but each time she wasted as little time as possible and used the blood seal her father gave her to not have to deal with them. In a way, she had gotten by through a loophole. Although she noticed those golden symbols and also tried to draw them because she never destroyed the statue, she never absorbed the golden symbol like Wang Lin. As celestial spiritual energy entered the symbol, Wang Lin's index finger couldn't help but pause for a moment. Although his expression was normal, he had a very clear feeling that if he didn't draw the 4th stroke, the perfection of this symbol would be ruined and even collapse. Wang Lin wasn't able to draw the 4th stroke in thin air. His eyes lit up as he pointed at the symbol and suddenly turned around. He flicked the symbol, causing it fly directly at Yao Shishue. Yao Shishue's expression changed and she quickly backed up. At the same time, she took out several blood jades and crashed them one by one before her. With a flash of blood-colored light, layers of blood covered the symbol. This happened extremely fast. The moment the blood touched the symbol, it dissipated, but it did cause the symbol to dim a bit. Yao Shishue continued to retreat as fragrant sweat covered her forehead. She continued to crush blood jades in her hand, and after 7 breaths of time, the golden light was finally completely extinguished by the blood. The symbol disappeared inside the blood-colored light. Yao Shishue's expression was extremely gloomy. Just now she had used 10% of the celestial jades that was supposed to last her hundreds of years. At the moment the symbol was thrown at her, she felt like she was facing someone of her father's generation. Wang Lin. Yao Shishue crushed a blood jade. After the symbol disappeared, she charged directly at the platform toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin's expression was normal. At the moment Yao Shishue closed in, his eyes became cold as he touched his bag of holding to take out the celestial sword and held it before him. He calmly said, "Fellow cultivator Yao, that golden symbol appeared too suddenly for me to control. If you wish to fight me because of it, then I'll entertain you." Yao Shishue's expression was gloomy as a hint of killing intent appeared in her eyes and she thought to herself, since this person has arrived here, he has no chance of survival unless he can break all the seals. If I were to fight with him here, it would be a waste of an opportunity. She coldly said, "Just this once." With that, she jumped over Wang Lin and landed on the revered dragon path to the next platform. Wang Lin put away the celestial jade and leisurely followed. He looked at Yao Shishue before him and his heart was not calm. Just a 3-stroke symbol is already so powerful. According to Yao Shishue, there is a total of 18 layers. If every layer has a symbol, that means there is a total of 18 symbols. What will the power of an 18-stroke symbol be? What exactly is this symbol? Could it be a celestial spell? Wang Lin took a deep breath and drew the 3-stroke symbol again. Unfortunately, the celestial spiritual energy inside his body didn't move and the symbol disappeared as quickly as it appeared without any of the power from before. Wang Lin frowned slightly and began to ponder. Several days later, the third platform appeared. This time Yao Shishue charged directly at the platform. There was still the same statue on the platform. Instead of having a third eye, it now had a long sword in its hand. Yao Shishue didn't use the seal. This time, she didn't hesitate to use her own abilities to battle the stone statue. Wang Lin coldly observed Yao Shishue. Her spells were all based on blood, and most of the time when she waved her hand, there would be a blood-colored light before the spell appeared. This battle with the statue had no suspense. With Yao Shishue's cultivation, the battle ended after half an incense stick of time. However, although the stone statue collapsed, no golden symbol flew out. Her expression became gloomy as she mercilessly stomped her foot, causing the broken stone statue to shatter to dust. Wang Lin's eyes narrowed and he thought, could it be that only after breaking the restriction on the statue would the symbol fuse into one's body? Yao Shishue didn't even look at Wang Lin as she quickly jumped across the platform and continued to move forward. Time quickly passed, and in the blink of an eye, 1 month passed. During this 1 month of time, Wang Lin had it easy because Yao Shishue didn't give him any opportunities to act. After trying 2 times and not obtaining a golden symbol, she realized that her method was wrong. Thinking back to what Wang Lin did, she gained some understanding. She dreaded the golden symbols a lot, and to prevent Wang Lin from obtaining them, she decided to simply do all the work herself. She didn't break the statues but used the blood jades to seal them. This was the method she used the last 3 times she came here. On this day, after sealing the 11th statue and arriving before the platform containing the 12th statue, Yao Shishue's expression became serious. She looked at Wang Lin and said, "Fellow cultivator Wang, this 12th seal is very different from the previous one and requires the 2 of us to work together to break. This is why I asked you to come." Wang Lin nodded. The platform before them was very different from before. This platform was only half the size of the previous platforms, and there was no stone statue in the middle, only a giant, stone door. Also, there was no other revered dragon path besides the one they were standing on. There were some blurry characters on the stone door. When overlapped with each other, it almost looked like a human face. Both Yao Shishue and Wang Lin landed on the platform. At the same time, the stone door suddenly opened and a cold gust of wind immediately came out. The moment the cold wind appeared, Yao Shishue was covered by a blood-colored light. Wang Lin took several steps back as he touched his bag of holding and took out the restriction flag, which quickly covered his body. As the cold wind blew, crackling sounds came from the restrictions around Wang Lin as layer and layer of ice appeared around the restrictions. Soon, Wang Lin was surrounded by a thick layer of ice. Looking at Yao Shishue, she basically became an ice sculpture, only the ice sculpture was releasing a bright, red light. This video will end here.